Welcome back for another episode. Today I have the pleasure of speaking with Mike Mattson, the Chief Growth Officer for SOMA Global. SOMA is a leading tech partner that provides critical response and operating software solutions to law enforcement, first responders, government agencies. And in short, they're utilizing modern technology to make us safer as everyday citizens, where every second truly makes a difference. Hope you enjoyed the episode. Hello, tech friends, and thank you for tuning into Emerging Technologies in Business, where we take a deep dive into different technologies that are impacting businesses today and in the very near future. I'm your host, Brock Riney, and this podcast is brought to you by ConcannonXR. Let's talk tech. Welcome back for another episode. Today, I'm joined by Mike Mattson. He's the Chief Growth Officer for SOMA Global. Mike, welcome to the show. Thank you for being here. How's your day going so far?
It's going great, Brock, and nice to meet you, and thanks for having us today.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm really interested to learn all about SOMA today, and if you don't mind, I kind of want to start at the very beginning. Would you mind giving myself and our audience a quick overview of what the SOMA Global Platform and SOMA Hub are?
Yeah. So SOMA is a company that focuses on cloud technology and services for the public sector. Specifically in public safety and justice for our state and local governments. So that's working with your, sheriff's offices, municipal police departments, emergency and fire departments, all that we rely on to be safe and live the lovely life we get to live here in the United States.
Absolutely. So the global platform, does that kind of encompass all of the different suites or applications that SOMA is able to bring together? And I guess, do they all function on this one specific platform, or like some other things that we see that might be in public services that might be a little outdated? Sometimes they're a little archaic and they're not necessarily brought together. How is SOMA doing that differently than kind of the way it's always been?
Yeah, that's exactly the problem that we solve, right? You'd be actually appalled and surprised if you were to walk into a police department and county sheriff's office and actually see the technology that these folks are leveraging today. It's about sometimes 20 to 30 years behind what we're used to in our everyday lives.
Whoa. And
it's pretty crazy. And so what SOMA does is we provide a modern cloud platform that yes, all of those suites that we have 4 suites currently, with hundreds of applications that we've built for our customers across the country. And it's all unified and really brings data to light quickly, as well as connect and integrate all of the critical systems for our nation's public safety agencies.
I can only imagine how frustrating that's got to be. Just take one example of just working in a police department. One of the things I read was that 911 dispatchers receive an estimated 240 million calls annually. And with an archaic type of system, that's got to be something that makes you want to pull your hair out. So if someone was going to go from that old version to the new SOMA version, how would that change how those types of calls are handled?
Yeah, absolutely. And, it's interesting, right? And number one, change is hard, right? Because a lot of these systems is what the folks we work with have ever known.
Right.
You plug in modern technology and a modern enterprise platform into an ecosystem, and, it takes process change and a lot of training, right? But, you mentioned 240 million calls annually. What's crazy about that stat is over 50% of those are non-emergency. And
wow.
So it just calling in to ask about random administrative questions. And so we actually have a pretty big crisis on our hands with a lack of resources and hiring in these positions. So doing more with less is everything that SOMA's about. And you can imagine if half the calls aren't even emergency, yet you have a declining employee base that's hard to retain. Finding every efficiency possible is what SOMA's here to do. And we're able to automate and streamline a lot of the manual and even paper-based processes that exist inside of these critical response centers.
And it seems like it's not just in the public service department, right? It feels like we're having this mass loss of qualified people to be able to fill these types of roles. So streamlining, and like you were just saying, if half of those calls are non-emergencies, being able to just streamline 50% right off the top of this is an emergency versus this is not an emergency, that's really got to take that load off of the person who's probably doing the job of what really should be 2.5 to 3 people sometimes. Yeah, so it does sound like the really public safety and public services are finally starting to see the light when it comes to moving these older systems and into the cloud. But for someone who's doing this, and you've got a lot of government experience over the last 10 years, what would you say to that person who's got that if it ain't broke, don't fix it mentality about what the benefits would be from moving these operational tasks from where they are today over to the cloud eventually?
Yeah. Well, I think number one, it's I understand it, right? And when you're used to servicing the public in a certain way, I can understand you know what you know, right? And that any sort of change, if it doesn't work and it's not reliable, actually could be a downgrade. And that seems to always be the kind of mindset and risk, especially in public safety, but in government technology in general, I'd say is more 10 years behind. But remember, I opened up saying 20, 30 years behind in public safety. And it's because, it's got to be reliable. And that was a big focus of the company in our first 5 years, is building a technology platform that could be reliable and scalable as we grew, because the industry is very untrusting of vendors because of there's been a lot of private equity acquisitions, a lot of old code, try to put it together. So change almost, is very scary for these folks. And that's why, part of our sales process is to be very consultative and understand the current state, do proof of concepts, and make sure that all bases are covered on that change, and that they're moving to an upgraded system and a new way of doing things that finds those outcomes that we're really looking for to make their lives better and work more efficiently.
And I think there's an old saying. So I come from the telecom background. I've been working in emerging technologies basically my entire life. But there was a saying back then, which was the IT guy never gets fired for hiring AT&T. He'll get fired if it doesn't work with another company, but not if he does it with one of the major players. And I think that's where that fear comes in, right? You put 15, 20 years of your career in public services like they're doing here, and they're like, I don't know if I necessarily want to put my name on the line to try something different. And I think that's where that perpetual lack of moving forward has really come from. Now, one thing you mentioned there was reliability. So you have 5 nines of reliability. And for those at home who don't understand what that means, it refers to being 99.999% in uptime in a year, which if you equate that out is less than 6 minutes of downtime on any given year. So especially when you're working with public services like you guys are doing right now, why is that so important and crucial, Matt?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's funny you mentioned AT&T, don't get fired. I worked for IBM in the past, and that was the saying. And
same idea.
So I totally get it. And being a new company, fairly new company, we've got to prove ourselves. And that's the best way actually to be able to grow and to actually prove out what you're talking about, right? So, having the proof points and customer outcomes that come from having such a reliable system is what we're all about, because every second does make a big difference. It could be the life or death of an individual and a citizen, or the safety, life or death, or safety measures for an officer. So having that reliability, I don't think we can say 100% outright just to be safe. We actually have been 100% uptime since receiving that designation. But yeah, I think that's been the fear to move to cloud for governments and public safety agencies, is that the cloud is scary and it's very different. And I've been in software as a service now for the last 10 years, and I've seen the maturity of platform technologies like SOMA Global, and I don't think we were ready as vendors for public safety to feel reliable on us until recently. And that's why SOMA, built on AWS GovCloud, worked very closely with our partners in AWS to make sure we could hit those measures before going to market with such mission critical applications.
Yeah, that makes total sense. I really think that is the hesitancy more than anything else, is the reliability. But especially what you were just saying is, in this market where you guys are living, reliability is going to be king because, like you said, every second truly matters. That could be the life or death differential between someone receiving the help they need and someone not getting that help. And I think that not making that change is actually more detrimental than staying with the standard quo, right? So old systems, legacy systems, or systems that they haven't adapted already, they're more likely to break. They're harder to fix. There's just less throughput. And in the end, that's really what we're looking for. With a shortened amount of workforce, we need to increase the throughput to be able to make the same one person be able to do the job of three because of that lack of skilled workers. So one of the things you mentioned was about how police officers can utilize this service as well. So talk to me a little bit more about SOMA Mobile Dispatch. Like, how is this tech keeping our officers safer on a day-to-day basis in something that's already a really risk-prone role as it is today?
Yeah, absolutely. And I always enjoy showing off our platform for the first time. And obviously, police officers by nature, and with vendors, the way that it has been over in the past, they don't trust you when you walk in the door. But once they see our technology and the quality of our people, really, because what we've done here at SOMA is put together, officers from the other side of the table that we're selling to, as well as the best technologists and enterprise services folks, and put them together to create a company. And when we show off our mobile dispatch and our hub and the platform capabilities, the accessibility to data that they can have at their fingertips to be able to collaborate with their other units and to be able to really serve the public in a data-driven manner is what keeps them safe and actually what they're most excited about. Because you'd be surprised how little they know going into a situation with the current state of things today. Things that we think are completely standard as consumers out there in the world. They have no idea who they're pulling over, who they're about to speak to, and it could be America's most wanted criminal some of the time. So I could tell you it's pretty cool to watch the reactions that we get when they can see what's possible with SOMA. And a lot of administrative tasks, like I'm seeing, I was actually with a customer 2 weeks ago who was walking me through the system they just came off of, and they had quadruple entry of just someone's name that they would have to do. So the administrative work that comes with being an officer that we can relieve actually gives them more time to do what they're there to do, protect and serve the public, and as well as be very informed as they do it and collaborative as a police agency, and multi-jurisdictional with their partners that they're resolving these conflicts and problems with, right? Often counties, states, and municipal police departments all have to work together on certain crisis incidents. So, being able to talk to each other and collaborate on a single source of truth and real-time data is what makes us so powerful and impactful to be a part of their everyday life and keep them safe.
I know if someone could tell me how to reduce the amount of paperwork that I have to do on a daily basis from 4 to 1, I would be pretty open to take that sales pitch any day of the week, just being honest. So I'm sure the officers, like you said, they probably don't trust you at all when you walk in the door. But as soon as they see I don't have to fill out the same thing 4 times in a row again, probably become your best friend really quickly. So you told me a little bit about how SOMA helps with police officers, firefighters, but how does it help with correctional services in courtrooms? Do you guys play a role there as well?
Yes, absolutely. And we're actually about to go live in the next few months with 2 of the largest jail facilities in the country, one on the East Coast and one on the West Coast. And it's even worse when you walk into the jails. I've spent, over the last 9 months, I've spent more time in jails than probably any a non-criminal. But being able to really see what the current state is, and we're talking duct tape and Sharpies to do things, and paper-based processes, and so we actually digitize and automate a lot of those processes, and one of the outcomes we're able to provide was it took officers on average at one of the partners we're working with 3.5 hours to book someone into that jail on average.
Oh my gosh!
3.5 hours to go through that process, and so that would lead to that could be time that they're protecting and serving, right? It often leads to not even wanting to do the booking, right? And we're able to take that down to 15 minutes, having our unified platform.
Wow.
And automating that process. Yeah. And some of the other really cool things that we're able to do is really be agile and build out things like reform programs, and not only just help our justice facilities operate and book people into the jail, but actually help give educational programs and work in our records platform to be able to build out reform applications and programs with our partners to help turn our corrections and justice people within them into good citizens after their time there. So a lot of cool things we're working on, right? But number one is just bringing modern technology and processes into these jails, because it is pretty unbelievable when you see it. And the other thing too that we're doing, if you think about the data that you have coming out of our corrections facilities, being able to put that at the fingertips of our officers as they're out there is very important too, and valuable data. So overall, we're doing a lot in that space as well.
No doubt about it. It sounds like SOMA's really got their hands all over the place with everything public services related. So one more question for you, and I can't help myself. I like to have a little bit of fun. I like to ask my guests a little bit about technology and what their opinion is of it. And I mean, unlike a jail where things might be held together through duct tapes and pens and things like that. So for a bit of fun, what is one technology you have not seen come to fruition yet, Matt, that you would like to see become a reality?
Well, let's have some fun with this. I'll go away from government technology and public safety technology, which I've been obsessed with here for the last decade. I'd say two things, and they're going on complete opposite spectrums, but I think you'd agree with me here. A time machine to go backwards. Maybe it exists. I know there's conspiracy theories, but I think it'd be pretty cool to have time machine and be able to see how we got to where we are, as well as I love what I'm doing. I love life, and I'd love to live forever. And some sort of technology to be able to do that, right? Go in the other direction. It would be pretty cool too. So I know that's very, very big picture, but I don't think either of those exist yet.
No, not that I've heard. I've heard a lot of different people who put cardboard boxes together with pieces of wire and just written time machine on it, but I don't think it ever worked, to be completely honest with you.
Yeah, a working concept would be nice, but
yeah, for sure. Matt, I got to tell you, thank you so much for joining the show, for talking to us a little bit about SOMA and their life-changing applications that are being instituted right now. And if you're a public service or an entity, a government entity, police, fire, courtroom, if you haven't had the opportunity to see what SOMA offers, I highly recommend it. If you get a moment and you watch this episode, of course, like and subscribe. But reach out to Mike. And Mike, if our audience did find something super valuable in this episode, what would be a good way for them to reach out to you or to contact SOMA for more information?
Yeah, absolutely. They could visit our website, somaglobal.com, or just shoot me an email, mike@somaglobal.com. Be happy to engage and point you in the right direction, share a little more about what we're doing for our nation's governments.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for being here, Matt. I also do want to take a quick moment to thank ConcannonXR for allowing us to do this show. Thank you to our sponsor. If you want to take a look at ConcannonXR, you can also find them on social media at ConcannonXR, and then you can find this podcast on socials as well at ETIB Podcast. That's going to do it for today's episode. Thank you for everyone for tuning in. I've been your host, Brock Riney, and we're going to talk some more emerging tech next time.